On the 20th of April earlier this year, 2023, so 8 days ago at the time of this recording, the trailer for season 2 of Strange New Worlds dropped. It's a 2-minute long teaser trailer containing approximately 1 minute 40 seconds worth of material from the new show. Now, ahead of the 15th of June this year, when the series actually launches, let's have a look at each and every scene in that trailer. Just a quick warning, this will include spoilers for season 2, just in case you want to avoid those. But if, like me, you like to analyse the out of it all, then stick with us as we go into a scene by scene, moment by moment analysis of the season 2 trailer. So we start with a beautiful shot of the Enterprise in what looks to me like the Sol system, our own solar system. Incidentally, the music is from a band called the Postal Service, and it's a track called Such Great Heights. I will put a link to that in the description. And the narration is being done by Rebecca Ramin, who plays Una, of course. Now, this for me is a little bit of a spoiler because at the end of season 1 we saw Una being carted away to answer for her crimes. So the fact that she's straight away, we're hearing her voice immediately, says that that's not going to be a long-standing issue. We then move on to a nice shot of Pike and Spock on the bridge of the Enterprise. Not a lot being given away there. A lovely shot then of La'an, Uhura and Una. Obviously she's been released at this point, laughing away in what looks like the mess hall. Notice this is not Cadet Uhura, note from her badge, but in fact I'm guessing she must be Ensign. Now, it is hard to see any insignia markings on her, but must be Ensign Uhura at this point. We get a shot of our new Chief Engineer Pelia, played by the comedy actor Carol Kane. Very long-standing comedy actor, really, really entertaining, so looking forward to seeing her in her role. We get another shot from the mess hall, this time of Ortegas and Mbenga, laughing away, quite happy. And then we get a shot to see that this narration that Una has been doing, she is in fact talking to someone and giving them something of a pep talk, I guess. We don't know who it is that she's talking to at this point. Then we're back to the bridge, and again Ortegas doing some fancy flying and thoroughly enjoying it. Spock looking rather unsettled at this. We get a brief shot, a very, very long shot of a planet and what looks like 3 crew members by some kind of machine or portal. It actually struck me, it bears some resemblance, although it's very hard to tell at this distance, but it bears some resemblance to the Guardian of Forever. Do you think I'm onto something there? Let me know in the comments below. Then we're back. We get a shot of Pike, Spock and La'an on presumably the same planet. So if that's the case, then that would be the 3 crew members we've seen at a distance. But it is a bit hard to tell if it's the same planet or not. We get Mbenga again and Chapel this time. Chapel looking bloodied, and it looks like Mbenga has rescued her from something. They're clearly wearing some kind of uniform, but non-Starfleet issue, and it looks like Chapel might have been holding a helmet, so maybe they've been in disguise on some away mission. We see two people in spacesuits floating out in space next to what looks like the primary hull of a Starfleet vessel, very, very severely damaged. And it looks like the primary hull, the saucer section, has actually separated from the star drive section and engineering section. Now, it's worth noting that way back in the original series, part of the design of the original Enterprise was that, in fact, the saucer could separate from the rest of the ship. Of course, we didn't actually get to see that, or it wasn't even referred to until we get the Next Generation. But maybe we're actually getting to see this. I'm going to stake a bit of a claim here. I don't think that this is the Enterprise. It's really hard to tell, but the level of damage that we're seeing here, I don't think this is the Enterprise. I think this is maybe another class of ship, maybe another Constitution. It's impossible to tell, but very, very interesting. In this shot, you have in the background two Gorn ships looking very, very menacing. So yes, we know the Gorn are back. We see James Kirk beaming aboard, presumably the Enterprise, and La'an and Kirk have quite an energy going on, as teased by Una there in that shot. And we see La'an and Kirk together again a little bit later in the trailer. We see another strange planet, and this time some kind of avian life form flying through the air. Could these be avian humanoids that we are seeing flying through this planet's atmosphere? We see Pike in a tactical vest looking pretty shaken up, and then a shot of a shuttle with what looks like Mbenga and two other crewmen. It's really hard to tell who they are, but they don't look like they're in tactical vests. So while the shuttle itself is being quite badly shaken, I think this is from a different scene, just one that's been put with it to make it look like it's the same one. We then get an exterior shot of a shuttle. Now, again, it gives you the impression that it's the same shuttle. However, looking at the colour of the environment, it appears to be quite different from interior of the shuttle to exterior of the shuttle. And we see, is that some kind of wormhole that it's heading towards? We get the shot that the internet has gone absolutely mental over. Spock taking a drink of blood wine with some Klingons. Now, I have tried to research this image to see what house these Klingons are from, and I can't find anything that matches that particular house symbol. So I'm guessing this is going to be some new house that's not been either not been mentioned, or at least that we haven't seen the symbol of before. And it's interesting to note that all the Klingons have the same ridges, which would imply that they're all of the same family, at least going on some previous canonical dialogue. However, it's one of those things where there's been inconsistencies throughout the entire Star Trek universe, so who is to say at this point? We get another shot of the Enterprise, this time flying through some red things. Puts me very much in mind of The Incredible Journey, when the ship got shrunk down, the Proteus got shrunk down, miniaturized and injected into someone's bloodstream. It sort of put me in mind of that a little bit, although I don't think that's what's going on here. You see it's either phaser, laser or disruptor, some kind of bolt appears to be firing at the ship. However, the ship is hit by something invisible, because it looks like either the shields or the hull has been struck by something, but we don't see anything actually striking it. We see what looks like the boots of two people and two vials of some kind of green liquid dropping to the floor and smashing. Could this be suggestion of some sort of chemical warfare or viral agent being released? It certainly got that sort of vibe to it. We see Chapel and Uhura and possibly Ortegas, again a little bit hard to see, in some kind of strange but beautiful cavern. We get Pike on a snow planet. Now my immediate thought here was possibly Rurapente, the Klingon prison planet. And yep, you see Pike, there's La'an behind him, and he's looking through a spyglass at what looks to be two guards, and this is why I thought maybe Rurapente. They look to me to be Klingon. However, if you look at the symbol above the gate, that seems to be a Starfleet symbol, maybe? Now, Pike does not look happy at this point, so maybe it is a Starfleet or Federation colony that Klingons have claimed, and Pike needs to go in and rescue everyone. It's wearing furs, but that's not surprising for a snow planet. I think the only thing we can be sure of is it's not Hoth. We see La'an sparring with what looks like an unknown crewman there. And are they a redesign of Batleths behind them as they're fighting? It's a bit hard to say, but they definitely put me in mind of Batleths, the Klingon swords. We get an explosion. We don't know where this explosion is taking place, but a crewman is caught in it. We see Uhura with a crashed shuttle, and there is a city off into the distance. So maybe this is Earth, but the buildings don't quite look like the designs we've seen of Earth previously. We see Dr. Mbenga definitely suffering with something. He's sweating. He's wearing no top at the moment, but he's definitely suffering from something here, possibly overcoming an illness, or maybe even it put me in mind a little bit of an addiction that he's overcoming. And it's only just now that we're reaching the halfway point in this teaser video. It is absolutely jam-packed full of stuff. But we see a shot of Spock in his quarters playing his Vulcan lute, although we're only seeing it from behind. And you can see also his famous 3D chessboard there on a table. We see a shot of the Enterprise flying away from something. Now, initially, I wondered what sort of ship it was flying away from. It looked to me like it was a variation on the Orion scout vessel that we've seen in the original series, or possibly even the Imorg from Cygna Draconis 6. If you remember the episode Spock's Brain, it did look rather reminiscent of that ship if you were to look at it face on, or either of those ships looking at it face on. However, we get to find out what the ship is flying away from in a later shot, so I'll save that for spoilers for later. We appear to be back in the mess hall when we see Chapel, Samkirk, Ortegas all celebrating with champagne. I mean, I'm saying the mess hall. This could be a space station, of course. We see Ortegas, this time in civilian clothing, giving a finger gun. We see Uhura on the bridge giving a bit of a curtsy, obviously having done something rather well. We get a nice shot of the new Chief Engineer Pelia and Spock together. We get Chapel and Mbenga giving a fist bump to each other. Nice little moment there, obviously. And the Enterprise then in front of some kind of phenomenon. My initial thought was it looks like either something has exploded or the Enterprise has just dropped out of warp. But the more I watch it, the more I think that the Enterprise is stationary. Something, not exploding, but something is happening. Some kind of spatial phenomenon there. We see Chapel and Spock in spacesuits. Now, could this be a relation to the earlier shot outside that primary hull? Could that have been Chapel and Spock? It looks to me like they're inside the bridge of, could be a really badly damaged primary hull. And if you look at the planet in the background and compare that to the earlier shot, could that even be the same planet? Speaking of relating to earlier shots, we see a shuttle flying low over a woodland area. Could this be Uhura's shuttle before it has crashed? We come back to a snow planet. We see Pike in his furs, so that suggests to me that that relates to the earlier shot with the spyglass. We see possibly La'an there as well, or that could be Una. I'm not 100% sure. Really hard to tell from behind. And some unknown crewmen who puts me in mind of the one that was sparring with La'an earlier. So maybe this is some new security officer. We see a bell being rung, and clearly it is some kind of hearing. And when we take the pad information and turn it the right way up, we see that it is information all about Una. And predominantly on there, it lists her as being active as the first officer on board the Enterprise. It lists her point of origin, and it does give a huge long list of commendations as well. We get a shot with Spock, Pike and Una on the bridge, looking trepidatious, to say the least. We get a beautiful shot of a Klingon D7. I'm assuming it's a D7 battle cruiser dropping out of warp, and I love the look on that ship. We see a mouthful of teeth and then a different angled shot to show that it is clearly the Gorn coming face to face with La'an. Poor old La'an. Getting very much the Aliens, Sigourney Weaver franchise vibe from this. Very much like we saw with one of the previous episodes with the Gorn. Got very much Newt sort of vibes from the young girl in that. We again see the bell being dinged on, I'm guessing it's going to be the judge's desk, and presumably that means that judgment has been rendered. Now, the fact we've seen Una earlier in this trailer, I think we know how that judgment is going to go. And we see the Enterprise flying upwards from Space Station 1, and as you see that shot, you've got the circular, looking at it from above, you've got the circular main part of it with those pods around the outside, and I think that's what we're seeing in that earlier shot. It's not a ship, it's not a Ryan Scout ship or the iMorg. I think this is what we saw earlier. I think it's Space Station 1. We get a nice comedic moment where Spock does his thing when he's in the chair. I would like the ship to go now. Clearly a comedy moment there. And our final shot of moments from the actual series itself, we've got La'an and James Kirk in what is absolutely clearly a 20th century Earth clothing store. I mean, it could be a Gap on any city on Earth. And Jim Kirk is struggling with a revolving door. So bit of humour in there. So there we are. We now have a broad understanding of what we can expect. We're definitely going to see the Gorn back, poor old Laan. We're going to see Klingons. We are going to get some time travel shenanigans. And we can definitely expect quite a lot of humour as well as the drama we can come to expect. I can't wait for it to drop. 15th of June is when it drops. I'll be watching it and I'll be doing videos about it, so make sure you like and subscribe the channel and hit that notification icon so that you can watch the videos that I put out and share your comments below. I can't wait to read all of them. I can't wait to see Strange New World Season 2. So in the meantime, peace and long life, live long and prosper.